we're collectively getting more information and stuff that's been there though, right? Fourth of July has just always been strange because country's independence. Who who's exactly? You know, um, I don't know. Perhaps we just had entirely too much access as kids, but like it's shit like Fourth of July that's always been just weird to me. I celebrating it just always felt strange.
Oh,
Um,
that's stupid.
so now everybody's collectively woke, and Juneteenth was lit, and it's like, oh, we ain't doing shit on Fourth of July, and Fourth of July
Went
was
out the window.
that quickly died. Like niggas was still outside yesterday.
I'm gonna be the person that says this.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, if y'all busted one firecracker on the 4th of July,
Hmm.
y'all should be ashamed of yourselves.
No.
I don't care. I don't care if you had this entire group, this entire what is it? If you had all of this already just sitting in your garage. If you bust that thing on the 4th of July,
On the
bro,
sheer
that's on you, bro.
on
Like,
sheer principle.
on sure principle, man. Like that shit is stupid, bro. Like, what's the celebration? And I know it didn't come down to celebration. Like, it was no meaning behind it. It was just the fact that I have this shit to get off, which I understand. And people have been stuck in the house, so as a collective, I get that you had a need to create some chaos. You had to let all this energy out that gave you a reason to. But yeah, that shit was stupid, bro.
The thing that fucked me up is I ain't never heard this many fireworks. I swear, whoever was selling that, they made a billion. Cause it was like, where did all this shit come from?
Bruh, that shit
It
it
was
sounded
giving
like
away.
a war zone last night, bruh. Like and now mind you that like for the last 2 months, every night it's been going off. So it's like, all right, that's crazy. It's like, and I kept saying, I was like, well, the fourth is gonna be nuts. Then if the nights leading up sound like this, what is the actual night gonna sound like? Bruh, it was rum. Like I
It
can't.
was crazy, man.
It made me think about like a lot of the war vets and like PTSD. Like what did they do like last night? I'm not even being funny.
No,
One of my
that's what it
partners,
felt like.
he said he was leaving, and he was going like out towards Tahoe, and he says he got a cabin like out in the middle of nowhere, and he's a war vet.
Just to get away from the shit.
Yeah, because he says all the noises they fuck him up.
I believe it, man. Like, cause even with like the double pane windows, that don't do shit for this particular. Like, it helps, but that was something else. Like, some of those things felt as if it was literally in the living room.
Nah, facts.
The way that it was, and then like I had the shades closed or whatever, but you could still like the wall was lighting up. You could see it like it just kept going for like for shit.
That shit lasted
Really
till,
until
like,
about I was up till about 2. So
yeah, and it didn't stop. Like
Nah,
I
it was
eventually
straight.
like fell asleep to it. Like, but it was still going when I fell asleep. That's for damn sure.
And like I said, the thing that fucked me up is niggas were showing me on Instagram. There was like niggas in Richmond who had the shit that was made for the pier,
Yep.
and I'm like, how do you have that just in the middle of the street, just rolled out,
Yep.
and they just letting it go? Doom, doom.
That shit was. I'm telling you, bro. Shit sounded nuts. In light of that though, Revolt held Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke yesterday morning on Revolt, and I can't. I woke. I slept in fairly late yesterday, and then shout out to bro. Imari hit me. He was like, "Nigga, stop
how
whatever."
old is Farrakhan?
That's a good question.
I think he's in his 80s.
Gotta be, gotta be,
Okay,
It got to be.
gotta be.
who's his successor? You know.
The dude that's been actually talking a lot. He was on Joe Budden's podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was on.
That is his successor.
I believe so. I think that's how they're setting it up. At least it seems to be.
I think so
Yeah.
too, because he's been on other shit
He
too.
was on Breakfast Club and everything. Yeah, I think it's him.
Okay.
And so he's like, Imari's like, stop everything, turn on Revolt, and I did, and sat there, and it was hella funny because just like church, Farrakhan was like, yeah, we're gonna get out of here on this, and it'd be like another 35 minutes. Just and he did that at least 3 times, and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. However, and this is not to be critical of the minister at all. Um, this is actually in critique of us. Him having to speak in the way that he had to speak and the things that he had to say made it clear as day and sort of cemented and drove home that we are stuck on a loop. The same thing our grandparents were marching for, were protesting for, having sit-ins for. Black people are having to have the same discussion today. And people have said that. But I don't know how many of us have stopped and really processed that and have allowed that to sink in. Your offspring and their offspring sat and collectively watched. I forget. I wanted to see how many people engaged with that live. The numbers were insane. And shout out Revolt for hosting that, because I don't know where else he would have gotten a platform to speak live like that. And I don't know, man. It
Is Revolt a channel or is it a online streaming service now?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both.
Okay.
They were on TV for a second.
I think they still.
I think they still are. Shout out to YouTube TV and just that whole sort of setup for me has been fucking phenomenal. Because, but Revolt did have a channel at one point.
Okay.
And I don't know, bro. I sat there and watched him speak and the things he talked about, and I actually took notes too, because he was saying some amazing shit. At the same, like halfway through the note taking process, because it was landing like jabs.
Mm-hmm.
It became unsettling that here we are asking for shit, and it's essentially what he was saying. It's like, bro, look at who y'all talking to, and you're trying to reason with. Again, it's this approach and this exploration of like not approaching this emotionally because it's not an emotional thing. And I this fight and the amount of energy and effort we exert just to survive and break even month to month, day to day, year to year, and to continuously have zero stake in ownership and receive royalties on things that we are creating, is so detrimental to our ability to advance. And sorry to speak to take the long way, but what it made me do in real time was really appreciate all my partners and family members who are positioning themselves to have ownership and stake in things, and thinking about and thinking about their economic lifestyles and their health, their physical and mental health. Like, I'm so grateful for y'all, my nigga, like being able to have that type of dialogue, because there's so many people that I know that have to go so far outside of their immediate circle to even have that type of interaction. I know it don't sound like a lot. When you break down, we get to do the show weekly. Mm-hmm. If something is really pressing, we get in several different group chats and have completely different conversations about things. Niggas tap in, hey bro, what you reading? How you meal prepping? Hey, send that workout you doing. It's these little things that can shift an entire legacy. And I hope that our children, I'll be damned if our children have to sit through Minister Farrakhan's successor talking like that. Burn this bitch down, bro. Like that's because we gotta stop playing. We gotta stop because I keep seeing Breonna's the people that killed Breonna Taylor still free. Yes, of course they are. They're of course they are, bruh. There's an amnesty clause in the fucking in the police union. The police union is set up to protect murderers. Nobody wants to hear that shit though. Nobody wants to talk about that. Immunity, excuse me. You can murder someone unjustly. You can murder someone unjustly and receive immunity under the police union. And it not even be a discussion. And every day, that baby's family has to relive that shit. And here we are still asking for justice. No. White people are walking around making ally videos because they finally saw somebody die on camera. You know how many people wrote in about how the white people die? Yo. Such a brilliant segment, bro. Like in real time, I thought it was brilliant, but then like hearing people engage on it is like, yo, I ain't never thought about it like that. It's like, yeah, of course you haven't, because you ain't seen nobody white die in real life.
Have to word, and it ain't come to your forefront, bro.
Come on, man.
They don't present it to you.
You know, so I on 4th of July, that just happened to land on a Saturday, to start it off, listening to the words of Farrakhan was so I was conflicted because he was saying some shit that I needed to hear, but I was like, why the fuck is he having to do this today?
Hey, he's always saying some shit that we need to hear.
He always
he don't ever stop saying shit that we need to hear.
And my nigga ain't got he's like, bro, I dedicated my life to this. I ain't playing with y'all. This is my life we talking about. I've dedicated my life to the liberation of black people.
And that's the true energy, man. That's the true energy. The faster we get to that shit, man, I don't know how much folks is probably dedicating their life to it, but it's a part of our life. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna be black, bro. Like, there's no changing the fact that we're gonna be black, bro. Like, that's a given. But understanding that it's a power and not an impediment is like is the ultimate move. Like, we have the ultimate transition, the ultimate switch that we have to flip in our heads, man. Because I think if we see it so often that we're nothing, or we can't get anything, people don't give us anything, people are killing us, we don't have the proper jobs. We don't get the loans to be able to start off all our ideas. If this is just in constant loop, then yeah, it breeds a level of dependency that we can't afford to have.
Facts.
Like, we can't afford to be dependent on shit. You know what I mean? So the faster that we can get to taking that out of our mental state is the better for us all. Because I think a lot of times when people they don't factor in that they'll have to pass this information to someone else at some point.
Man.
I think a lot of times people get hung up on just themselves and their position and what's happening to them, when in essence, the true way to tap into like the fountain of youth, or to duplicate yourself, is to be able to pass along the shit that you come across. So that you have to have something to pass along. Yeah. And if you just pass along the pain and the hurt, then that's not something that that's giving them an edge, but it's not giving them a place to release the edge. You know what I mean? Like they don't know where they're about to take. You gave them all the edge, bro. It's just pent
with
up,
no outlet.
bro. Like what am I supposed to do with this? You know what I mean? Like now you had them start from scratch again, trying to figure out how to get over the edge that's not even theirs yet.
Yeah.
They didn't even tap into their own edge.
Fuck.
You know what I mean?
And you,
So,
and you inherited it.
you inherited edge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have that, and then you get your own, and now bro, you just in fucking quicksand, bro, trying to figure it out. And then we go pass that shit down again, bro. No, nigga, we need to figure our shit out, bro.
Facts. Let's
Heal
really,
ourselves.
if you're in it, if you hadn't had the luxury of anyone really sitting with it, it's, God damn, how do we keep ending up in these places, man? Oh man. If
that,
you
that ain't got nothing to do with preaching either. Nigga.
At all.
That's the realest shit that you can hear. Nigga.
at all, bruh. Like, I keep having this thought. This is some personal shit, y'all. So excuse me, but I feel safe enough to say it here. I've had these thoughts that, and L just kind of cemented them for me, that demons might be genetic. I believe they are. We inherit them, and God bless you if you're fortunate enough to have someone really sit down and keep it a buck with you about what some of them stem from. And then God bless you if you not only are you committed to undoing them, but you're not afraid to sit with them.
So important.
Now, I keep referencing in it because that book changed my life, but The Water Dancer, bro, that fucking book is brilliant because it's exactly that. The young man has superpowers to liberate and free himself and his loved ones from slavery, but in order to access said powers, that nigga has to revisit the trauma that he suppressed as a means just to get by. If that ain't a metaphor for us, fuck making them own up to slavery and the pain and torture and trauma that it continues to cause amongst us today. But how about we visit it and how it's hindering us in how we deal with one another? I don't need our lives to matter to them. I need our lives to matter to us.
First and foremost.
I need all of us in this room to matter to each other. I need our women's lives to matter to us when we're outside. If we start there, oh, nigga, it ain't shit they could do.
Oh, they'll get it.
They're not going to have no choice. You're going to get down or you're going to lay down. It's going to be as simple as that the second we matter to one another. And that's
Money just hit it on the head, man. That was my friction with this thing, man. That was really what it was. Was that I think we were missing an amazing opportunity, which we still have an opportunity to have because we're still not fully open. So there's still time for us to get this, for it to switch over to really figuring out our own shit.
Facts.
And then figuring out the shit that people aren't telling us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we have our people that are hurting that we haven't even talked to them about what their hurt is.
What your hurt?
You know what I mean? Like just having them just sit on that hill by themselves.
Man.
And they're afraid to do it, so they lash out.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why you guys are in a quarrel right now.
Yeah.
And you guys haven't talked to each other for years.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it could be so simple.
It could all be so simple.
It could all be so simple, but once y'all come together and y'all figure that shit out, and you forgive, you ain't gotta forget, but once you forgive it, then and actually try to understand where they were coming from, it might not even be that big of a deal for you.
Facts.
And then that just multiplied the power in your fraction.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at our entire group as having fractions. You know what I mean? Like we all have groups that need to heal each other then come together.
We have
factions. I mean,
we're fractured as a whole
for sure.
and don't you sick fucks dare hijack this dialogue the three of us are having and group it into some black on black violence shit. Fuck out of here with that. This is not what we talking about.
That was actually something I was gonna talk about last week, but you go ahead and then I'll tell you what I was gonna say.
Yeah, fuck you if you dare try to do that. This is so much deeper than that shit.
Mm-hmm.
The people had a lot to say about our take on No Name and Cole. That's some real shit, bro. The attack on black love, on black families. However, the dynamic is set up, please believe if it's two daddies, if it's two mamas, if it's transgender, if you black, it's an attack on your family as a whole thriving and staying together and advancing, and you providing resources for your children and opportunities, and like it's an attack on that shit.
Mm-hmm. Every minute spent in that quarrel is a minute not spent on the actual movement that we're in.
Facts.
That energy needs to go elsewhere.
Facts.
Y'all can deal with that shit. That's something to for sure deal with. But my thing is when things be in the public for everybody to be about, like a lot of things is behind closed doors for me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about beef. Tell you the truth, like that was my take from I meant to say from last year on the thing I don't care about on the beef portion, was that understanding that there's really no way to squash beef. Some beef is just way too deeply rooted. There's too much blood has been shed, but there should be a code about it when it comes to how it is presented or how it is played out, and in public is not the time.
Yeah.
Now, if you care enough about this beef, then you can play this shit all you want out. It be in the background where it doesn't have to hit the airwaves, because once it hits the airwaves, then you have all these other factions and like cultures and stuff like that get to weigh in on it and make their own narrative on it without knowing any of the details. And then you have other people that are out here giving you details on stuff that were not a part of the original situation. So now it's become fodder. And no, that can play, if you really need it, play that shit out.
Yeah.
But play that shit out in where it needs to be played out at.
Yeah.
And so that the people that know about it will know about it. But once it hits, do not do that shit in public. Like when people was out here protesting, there shouldn't have been, or if they was occupying a location in a peaceful protest, there shouldn't have been one beef that played out. There shouldn't have been an opportunity for anybody to take out another human being.
Nope.
Because they're out in the open and I didn't call him slipping. Nah, that's not the time to do that. You know what I mean? That's where the fracture is at in my book. And that shit might be on deaf ears, but truth be told, I'm just talking about liberation for a entire group and the type of mental capacity that has to go into it. And we need the folks that are going to be strong-willed and strong-minded about that will then hold people accountable for the actions in which they're playing out and how that shit's going to look, big picture.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that shit's important to me before anything else. You know what I mean?